Okay, are we live actually? Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Channel. My videos. I think it's live. I'm not 100% sure. Are we live? I think we actually are live. I don't really know. It's the first time I stream live, so I don't know nothing. Mate, I don't know anything. Usually I'm on the computer or on the phone to see if I'm live. Now I'm on this, which I don't know. But anyway, I'm not going to read. I'm going to check on something. Checking if everything works. Test internet connection. So I can check and probably see a bit over there in my TV. But, yeah. I'm going to be reading the book. Somebody said it. I've checked 1,000 times just to see if how to put or see what to do. Probably this will help me so I can see. This is the first time on somewhere else than, normally doing it on console. I'm doing it on my phone. I'm new. I don't know what to do. It's a book. I don't know what you expect. It's only like a minute now, so let's see. Send messages, stuff. I mean, I feel like everything is live. It's like a feeling. I'm not gonna. I don't know. You just send like a message or send a chat, something in chat or something. No. Which the hell? I don't see myself streaming. Where am I streaming? Where am I streaming? Huh? Sure, why not? Okay, so I am streaming, just making sure. But okay, introduction, the InGen incident. The late 20th century has witnessed a scientific gold rush of astonishing proputations, the headlong of furious haste and commercialized genetic energy. This enterprise has proceeded too rapidly with little outside community that is dimensioning to and implications and hardly understanding at all. Okay, first of all, I am sorry. I barely read out loud. I read inside my head. I'm not used to this. I can read it perfectly in here, like without just like reading it on my own. But if I'm reading it out loud, I just have like stuttering things. Hello. The only way I could see is just like leaning over and just seeing if anything is happening. For now, I think everything is happening quite well, I hope. All right. Biotechnology promises the greatest revolution in human history. By the end of this decade, it will be outdistance atomic power in computers in the effect of the everyday lives. In the words of one observer, biotechnology is going to transform every aspect of human life. Our medical care, our food, or our health, or entertainment, our very bodies. Nothing will ever be the same again. It's literally going to change in the face of the planet. But the biotechnology revolution differs in three important respects. Important respects from past scientific transformations. First, it is a board-based American the atomic age through the work of the single research institution at Los Alamos. It entered the computer age through the efforts of about a dozen companies, but biotechnology researchers is now carried out more than 2,000 laboratories in America alone. 500 corporations spend $5 billion a year on this technology. Second, much of the research and thoughtless fiberless efforts to engineer payload throughout the better the better visibility in the stream. Square trees of easier lumbering in injectables. Scent cells, so you'll always smell the favorite perfume. Your favorite perfume may seem like a joke, but but they aren't. But they are not. Indeed, the fact that biotechnology can be applied to industries, technology, subject vagaries of fashion, such as cosmetics and leisure activities, heightens concerns about the whimsical use of powerful new technology. Third, the work is uncontrollable. No one supervises it. No federal laws relegate it. There are no coherent government policy in America or anywhere else in the world. And because the products of biotechnology range from drugs to farm crops to artificial snow, and intelligent policy is difficult, but most disturbingly by the fact that no watchdogs are found among scientists themselves. It is remarkable that nearly every scientist in genetics research is also engaged in the commerce of biotechnology. There are no detached observers. Everybody was at stake. Okay. I don't know if you heard it, but it's a thing. Wait, hold on. Okay. Anyway, I was just reading quote unquote error. I don't know anything. My videos still it's not showing up for me. I know how it's showing up for you guys, but it's not showing nothing to me. I literally don't see a thing. So let's just go to try to search. Let's just go search something on live on TV live. Just live. Probably something will show up. No. Live. Oh, there's an actual channel for live things. I never knew this. This is new. Okay. You'll probably find mine, but anyway. Nevertheless, let's continue. The commercialization of molecular biology is the most stunning ethical event in history of space. And has happened to astonishing speed for 400 years. For 400 years, since Galileo, science has always proceeded as a free and open inquiry into the working of nature. Scientists have always ignored natural boundaries, holding themselves above the customary concerns of politics and even wars. Scientists have always been rebelled against sorcery and research, and even frowned on the ideas patenting their discoveries, seeing themselves as work to the benefits of all mankind. In many generations, the discoveries of scientists did not indeed peculiar selflessness quality. When in 1953, two young researchers in England, James Watterson and Francis Crick, decappered the signature of DNA, their work has held as a triumph in human spirit of centuries-old quest to understand the universe in a scientific way and confidentially expected in discovery would be selflessly extended to greater benefits of mankind. Yet it did not happen. 30 years later, nearly all Watson and Crick's scientific colleagues were engaged in another sort of enterprise entirely. Research in molecular and genetics have become a vast multi-billion-dollar commercial undertaking, and its origins can be traced to 1953, but to April 1976. That was the day of now famous meeting in which Robert Swanson, a venture capitalist, approached Herbert Boyer, a biochemist at the University of California. The two men agreed to find a commercial company to explore bioengineers gene splicing techniques Their new company genetically quickly became the largest and most successful of the genetic engineering startups. Suddenly, it seemed as everyone wanted to become a rich new company. Become rich. New companies were announced almost weekly, and scientists flocked and explored genetic research. By 1986, at least 362 scientists, including 64 in the National Academy, sat on the advisory boards and biotech firms. The number of those who held equality positions in consults was several times greater. It is necessary to emphasize how significant this shift in attitude actually was. In the past, pure scientists took a snobbishness view of business. They saw the pursuit of money as intellectually uninterested, suited only to shopkeepers, and to research for industry. Even at the pre-sterology, I'm sorry, Bell or IBM labs were only those who couldn't get the university appointment. Thus, the attitude of pure scientists was fundamentally critical towards the work and appealed scientists to the industry in general. Their long-standing antagrams kept university scientists free of committing industry ties, and whatever debate those aroused about technological matters. Distinguishing scientists were available to discuss the issues of the highest levels, but there was no longer true. There were very few molecular biologists and very few research institutions without commercial affections. The old days were gone. Genetic research continues in more furious pace than ever, but is done in secret in haste for profit. I am sorry if you cannot understand me, but it's the best I can do. Okay, we're going well. Just 30 FPS. I'll think that is good. It's only been 12 minutes. Okay, I've been very shaky. I'm nervous. And my neck hurts. Ah, crap. It's only been 12 minutes and my neck already hurts. I feel betrayed. Why? Live now. There's nothing really impressive. All these jazz stuff are live now? Okay, that's actually impressive. Probably nothing is live here. It's telling me that I'm live because it's probably fucking fake and stuff. Anyway, yeah, I see nothing. Nothing. Not even a thing is now live. It's probably on mobile streams, isn't it? Yeah, it probably is. Okay, home. Let's see. Anyway, all right, let's continue. In the commercial climate, it is probably unavailable to that a company as ambitious in intellectual genetic technologies, Inc. of Palo Alto will arise in equality. Unsurprisingly, genetic crisis created should be unreported. After all, Ingen's research is conducted in secret. That agricultural incident occurs in the most remote region of Central America, and fewer than 20 people were there to witness it. Of those, only a handful survived. Even at the end, when industrial genetic technologies filed for Chapter 11 production in the United States bankruptcy, court of San Francisco in October 1989, the proceedings drew little press attention. It appeared so ordinary. Ingen was the third small American bioengineering company to fail that year. At the seventh since 1986, few court documents were made public since the creditors were Japanese investments courts, such as the Hamaguri and Densaka, companies that traditionally turned publicly. To avoid unnecessary disclosure, Daniel Ross of Colin Swin and Ross Kersel of Ingen also represented the Japanese investors in the rather unusual pretension of vice consul of Costa Rica was heard behind the closed doors. Thus, it is not surprising that within a month the problems of Ingen were quickly and unambiguously settled. Parties to that settlement, including the distinguished scientific board and advisors, signed the non-disclosure agreement, and none will speak about what happened. But many of the principal figures that the Ingen incident are not synonyms, and were willing to discuss the remarkable events leading up to those final days in August 1989 on a remote island off the coast of Costa Rica. That's just the introduction. That was just the introduction. It was been 15 minutes. I stutter so bad whenever I'm reading. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If I look where he was. Oh shoot! Probably they did see me a bit. Probably. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to show bit. Okay. Prologue. The bite of the raptor. The tropical rain fell in drenching sheets, hammering the corrulated roof of the clinic building, rolling down the metal gutters, splashing on the ground in a torrent. Roberta Carter sighed and stared at the window from the clinic. She could hardly see the beach or the ocean beyond, cloaked in a low fog. This wasn't that she had expected, but when she had come in the fishing village of Vieja Anasaco, okay, on the west coast of Costa Rica, to spend 2 months in visiting physician. Bobby Carter had expected sun and relaxation after 2 grueling years of residency in emergency medicine at the Michael Resi in Chicago. She had been in Bahama and so for 3 weeks and it had rained every day. Everything else was fine. She liked the isolation of Vieja Anasaco and the friendliness of its people. Costa Rica had one of the 20 best medical systems in the world, and even the remote coastal village and clinic was well maintaining a supply in her Manuel Argon was intelligent and was well trained. Bobby was able to practice a level of medicine equal to what she had practiced in Chicago. But the rain, the constant undying rain across the examining room, Manuel cocked his head. "Listen," he said. "Believe me, I hear it," Bobby said. "No, listen." And then she caught it. Another sound blending with rain. A deeper rumble was built and emerged until it was clear. The rhythmic thumping of a helicopter. She thought they can't be flying in weather like this. But the sound built steadily. And then the helicopter burst low through the ocean fog and roared overhead. Circled and came back. She saw the helicopter swing back over the water near the fishing boats and ease sideways to the rickety wooden dock and back to the beach. It was looking for a place to land. It was big-bellied Scott. Oh God! Damn, my back hurts as well. Sorry about this, guys. Big-bellied Sikora sky with a blue stripe on the side, with the words "Engine Construction." That was on a name of the construction company, building a new resort on one of the offshore islands. The resort was said to spectacular and very complicated. Many of the local people were employed into this construction, which had been going for more than 2 years. Bobby could imagine it, one of those huge American resorts with swimming pools and tennis courts, where guests could play and drink their crease without having any contract with the real life of the country. Bobby wondered what was so urgent on that island that the helicopter would fly in the weather. Through the windshield, she saw the pilot exhale in relief as the helicopter settled into the wet sand of the beach. Uniformed men jumped out of the flung and opened the big side door. She heard frantic shouts in Spanish, and Manuel nudged her. They were calling for a doctor. 2 black crewmen carried a limp body toward her, while a white man barked orders. The white man had a yellow slicker. Red hair appeared around the edges of his Mets Mets baseball cap. Is there a doctor here? He called her as she ran up. I'm Dr. Carter, she said. The rain fell in heavy drops, pounding her head and shoulders. The red-haired man flowed at her. She was wearing cut-off jeans and tank top. She had a stethoscope over her shoulder, and the belt already rusted from the settled aim. Ed Regis, we've got a very sick man here, doctor. Then you better take him to San Jose, she said. San Jose was the capital just 20 minutes away from here, from the air. We would, but we can't over the mountains in this weather. You have to treat him here. Bobby tottered alongside the injured man as they carried him into the clinic. He was a kid, no older than 18. Lifting away from the blood-soaked shirt, she saw a big slashing rip alongside her shoulder and another on her leg. What happened to him? Construction accident, Ed shouted. He fell on the backhoes he fell. One of the backhoes ran over him. The kid was pale, shivering, unconscious. Manuel stood over with a bright green door in the clinic. Waving his arms, the man brought his body through the set on the table in the center of the room. Manuel started the invidious line, and Bobby swung the light over the kid and bent to examine his wounds. Immediately, she could see that they did not look good. The kid was almost certainly die. Almost certainly die. A big tearing laceration ran from his shoulder down his torso. At the edge of the wound, the flesh was shredded at the center of the shoulder. In this dislocated pale bones exposure, a second slash cut through the heavy muscles of the thigh, deep enough to reveal the pulsiform artery below. Her first impressions was that his leg had been ripped open. Tell me again about the injury, she said. I didn't see it, Ed said. They say the backhoe dragged him because it almost looks like it was been muled, Bobby Carter said, probbing the wound like most emergency room physicians. She could remember the detailed patients she had seen even years before. She had seen two maulings. One was a 2-year-old child who had been attacked by a Rottweiler dog. The other was a drunken crisis attendant who had an encounter with a Bengal tiger. Both injuries were similar. There was a caustic look to the animal attack. Muled? Ed said. No. It was a backhoe. Believe me. Ed licked his lips as he spoke. He was edgy acting, as if he had done something wrong. Bobby wondered if they were using an inexperienced local workman as a resort construction. They must have accidents all the time. Manuel said, Do you want leverage? Yes, she said. She said, after you block him. She bent lower, probbed the wound with the fingertips, and if an earthworm had rolled over him, dirt would be forced deep into the wound. But there wasn't any dirt, just a slippery, slimy foam, and the wound had a strange odor, a kind of rotten stench, a smell of death and decay. She had never smelled anything like it before. How long ago had this happened? An hour. Again, she noticed that how tense Ed Ridges was. He was one of those eager, nervous types, and he didn't look like a construction foreman, more like exclusive with it, like an executive. He was obviously out of depth. Bobby Carter turned back to the injuries. Somehow she didn't think she was seeing medical trauma. It just didn't look right. No soil contamination of the wound site, or no crush injury to contaminate. Mechanical trauma, mechanical trauma of any sort of auto injury of factor accident almost always had some component of crushing, but but here there were none. Instead, the man's skull shredded, ripped across his shoulders and gained across his thighs. It recently did not look like a mall. On the other hand, most of the body was unmarked, which was unusual for an animal attack. She looked again at the head, the arms, the hands. The hands. She felt chilled when she looked at the kid's hands. There were short, slashing cuts of both palms and bruises on the wrist and forearms. She had worked in Chicago long enough to know what that meant. All right, she said. Wait outside. Why? Ed said. Alarm. He didn't like that. Do you want me to help him or not? She said, and pushed him out of the door and closed it on his face. She didn't know what was going on, but she didn't like it. Manuel hesitated. I continued to wash? Yes, she said. She reached the little Olympia's point and shoot. She took several snapshots of the injury, shifting her light of the better view. It really did not look like bites. She thought then the kid groaned, and she put her camera aside and bent toward him. His lips moved, his tongue thick. Raptor, he said. Lo sa raptor. At those words, Manu froze, stepped back in horror. What does it mean? Bobby said. Manu shook his head. I don't know, doctor. Los raptor? No es español. No, it sounded like to her like Spanish. Then please continue to wash him. No, doctor. He wrinkled his nose. Bad smell. And he crossed himself. Bobby looked again at the slippery foam streak across the wound. She touched it, rubbing between her fingers. It seemed almost like saliva. The injured body lips moved. Raptor, he washed. Tone of horror. Manu said, it bit him. What bit him? Raptor. What's a raptor? It means hupia. Bobby frowned. The Costa Ricans were not especially superstitious, but she had heard of the hupia mentioned in the village before. They were said to be night ghosts, faceless vampires who kidnap small children. According to the belief, the hupia had once lived in the mountains of Costa Rica, but now inhabit the island of Shores. Manuelis was backing away, murmuring and crossing himself. It's not normal to smell, he said. It is the hupia. Bobby was about to order him back to work when the injured youth opened his eyes and sat straight up on the table. Manuel shrieked in terror. The injured boy moaned and twisted his head, looking left and right with wide staring eyes. And then the explosively vomited blood. He went immediately into convulsive, his body vibrating, and Bobby grabbed for him, but he shattered off into the table, onto the concrete floor. He vomited again. There was blood everywhere. Ed opened the door, saying, "What the hell's happening?" And then he saw the blood. He turned away, his hand into his mouth. Bobby had grabbed for a stick to put the boy's clenched jaws. But even as she did it, she knew it was hopeless. With his final spastic jerk, and relaxed and lay still. She bent to perform mouth to mouth, but Manuel grabbed his shoulder and fiercely pulling her back. No, he said. The hupia will cross over. Manuel, for God's sake, no! He stared at her fiercely. No, you do not understand these things. Bobby looked at the body in the ground and realized that he didn't matter. There was no possibility in rescuing him. Manu called for the men, who came back in the room and took the body away. Ed, Ed appeared, whipping his mouth with the back of his hand, muttering, "I'm sure you did all you could." And then she watched, and the man took the body away back to the helicopter, and it lifted thunderously up to the sky. "It is better," Manuel said. Bobby was thinking about the boy's hands that had been covered with cuts and bruises, and the characteristic pattern of the fence wounds. She was quite sure she had not died in the construction accident. He had been attacked, and he held up his hands against his attackers. "Where is this island they come from?" she asked. "In the ocean, perhaps 120 miles offshore. Pretty far for a resort," she said. Manuel watched the helicopter. "I hope they never come back." Well, she thought at least she had pictures. But when she turned back on the table, she saw that her camera was gone. The rain finally stopped at night. Alone in the bedroom behind the clinic, Bobby throbbed through her teared back paperback Spanish dictionary. The boy had said raptor, and despite Manuel's protests, she suspected it was a Spanish word. Sure enough, she found it in the dictionary. It meant ravisher or abductor. That gave the okay.
Still alive? Yes.
Okay. That gave her a pause. The sense of the word was suspiciously close to the meaning of hupia. Of course, she did not believe in superstition, and no ghost had cut those hands. What had the boy been trying to tell her? From the next room, she heard groans. One of the village women was in her first stage of labor, and Ellen Morlis, the local midwife, was attending her. Bobby went into the clinic room and gestured to Elena to step outside for a moment. "Elena, si, doctor? Do you know what is a raptor?" Elena was a gray-haired and 68, a strong woman with a particle no nonsense air. In the night beneath her stairs, she frowned and said, "Raptor." "Yes, you know this word?" "Si," Elena nodded. "It means a person who comes in the night and takes away a child." "A kidnapper?" "Yes." "A hupia?" "A whole manner change. Do not say this word, doctor." "Why not?" "Do not speak of hupia now," Elena said firmly, nodding her head toward the groans of the laboring woman. "It is not wise to say those words now." But does a raptor bite or cut his victims?" "Bite? Cut?" Elena said, puzzled. "No, doctor. Nothing like this. A raptor is a man who takes a new baby." She seemed irritated by the conversation, impatient to end it. Elena started back towards the clinic. "I'll call you when she is ready, doctor. I think 1 hour more, perhaps 2. Bobby looked at the stairs and listened to the peaceful lapping of the surf shore in the darkness. She saw that the shadows of the fishing boats shored offshore, anchored offshore. The whole sense was quiet, so normal. She felt foolish to be talking of the vampires and kidnapping babies. Bobby went back to her room, remembering again that Manuel had insisted it was not a Spanish word. Out of curiosity, she looked at the English dictionary. In her surprise, she found it there too. Raptor, bird of prey. Now, keep in mind, the baby, the new mother, the baby, and I think it's Ellen who will come back later on. I don't know if I told the story on stream last time, but it happens. It will happen. and my feet are cold. That's why I'm. That's why they're like in here. They're like right here because my feet are freezing, and I don't have socks right now. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. How long have we been streaming? 35 minutes. Not bad. This is a good book. We only read the introduction and the new thing. We also got new. Wait, hold on. Let me check one thing. Anyway. Alright. Alright. Let's have my neck relax for a bit. And by relax, I mean just put it all on the top of my head and pray to God nothing bad happens to it. And that's about it, really. Just for like a minute or two, maybe less. There it is. There's the stream I'm talking about, right there. Okay, hold on. Let me just lower the volume up to a full on 3. Probably hear myself again. Yep, it's all there. Still alive. Okay. Oh god, my neck. My neck sucks, man. My neck sucks. My neck. Well, yeah, this is as close to my reality will you be. Seeing me in reality, I am a person. So yeah, ready for the next Almost Paradise. It's a thing, and I'm going to read it. So this is probably the part where, this is the part where, you know the introduction to Jurassic Park The Lost World, also known as Jurassic Park 2? The introductions of that will change. The introduction would change there, and pretty much this is kind of how it came to a reality. I don't know, I'm still fixing it here. I know you see chanclas, they're right there. But I'm too lazy to grab them. Okay. Almost Paradise. Mike Bowman whistled cheerfully as he drove the Land Rover through the Cabo Blanco Biology Reserve on the west coast of Costa Rica. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful morning in July of the road. Before him was spectacular. Hugging the edge of the cliff, overlooking the jungle in the blue Pacific. According to the guidebooks, Cabo Blanco was unspoiled wilderness and almost a paradise. Seeing it now made Bowman feel as if it was a vacation. Was back in the track. Bowman was a 36-year-old real estate developer from Dallas, had come to Costa Rica with his wife and daughter for a 2-week holiday. The trip had actually been his wife's idea. Excuse me. 4 weeks. Ellen had filled his ear with. For weeks, Ellen had filled his ear about the wonderful national parks of Costa Rica and how good it would be for Tina to see them. Then they would arrive. It turned out Ellen had an appointment to see the plastic surgeon in San Jose. That was the first Mike Bowman had heard about the excellent and expensive plastic surgery available in Costa Rica and all the luxuries private clinics in San Jose. Of course, they had a huge fight. Mike felt she lied to him, as she had, and he put his foot down about his plastic surgeon business. Anyway, it was ridiculous. Ellen was only 30, and she was a beautiful woman. Hell, she had been homecoming queen her senior year at Rice. That was not even 10 years earlier. But Ellen had tended to be insecure and worried. It seemed if the recent years she had mostly worried about losing her looks, and that and everything else. The Land Rover bounced in the pothole, splashing mud. Mud settled beside him. Ellen said, "Mike, Are you sure this is the right road? We haven't seen any other people for hours. There was another car 15 minutes ago, he reminded her. Remember the blue one? Going the other way. Darling, you wanted a deserted beach, he said. And that's what you're going to get. Ellen shook her head doubtfully. I hope you're right. Yeah. Yeah, Dad, I hope you're right, said Christina from the back seat of she was only 8 years old. Trust me, I'm right. He drove in silence a moment. It's beautiful, isn't it? Look at the view. It's beautiful. It's okay, Tina said. Ellen got out a bleh, compact and looked at herself in the mirror. Pre- pressing under her eyes, she sighed in the compact mirror away. The road began to descend, and Mike Bowen constructed and concentrated on driving. Suddenly, a small black shape flashed across the road, and Tina shrieked, "Look, look!" Then it was gone by the jungle. What was that? Ellen asked. A monkey? Maybe a squirrel monkey, Bowman said. Can I count it? Tina said, taking her pencil out. She was keeping a list of all the animals she had seen on the trip as a project of school. I don't know, Mike said doubtfully. Tina consulted the pictures of the guidebook. I don't think it was a squirrel monkey, she said. I think it was just another howler. They had seen several howler monkeys around the other trip. Hey, she said more rightfully. According to the book, the beaches of Cabo Blanco are frequently by a variety of wildlife, including howler and white-faced monkeys, three-toed sloths, and Coemudius. You think you will see three-toed sloths, Dan? I bet we do. Really? She looked at the mirror. Very funny, Dad. The road slowed downward through the jungle, toward the ocean. Mike Bauman felt like a hero when they I'm looking, checking as well. Mike Bowman felt like a hero when they finally reached the beach, a 2 mile crescent of the sand, undoubtedly deserted. He parked the Land Rover on the shade of the palms, the fringe of the beach, and got out of the box luncheons. Ellen changed into her bathing suit, saying, "Honestly, I don't know how I'm going to get this way off." "You look great, hon." Actually, he felt like that she was too thin. Jesus, too thin. But he had learned not to mention that. Tina was already running down the beach. "Don't forget you need your sunscreen," Ellen called. Later, Tina shouted over her shoulder. "I'm going to see if there's a sloth." Ellen Bauman looked around at the beach, and there was trees. "You think she's all right?" "Honey, there's nobody here for miles," Mike said. What about snakes?" "Oh, for God's sake," Mal Bowman said. "There's no snakes on the beach." "Well, there might be, honey," he said. "Snakes are cold-blooded. They're reptiles. They can't control their body temperature. It's 90 degrees on the sand. If a snake comes out, it'll be cooked, believe me. There's no snakes on the beach." He watched his daughter scampering in the beach in dark spot of the white sand. "Let her go. Let her have a good time." He put his arm around his wife in her waist. Tina ran until she was exhausted. Then she threw herself down in the sand and gleefully rolled into the water edge. The ocean was warm, and there was hardly any surf. Surf, really? Okay, at all. She sat at the while, catching her breath, and then she looked back towards her parents in the car to see how far she had come. Her mother waved, beckoning her to return. Tina waved back cheerfully, pretending she didn't understand. Tina didn't want to put sunscreen on, and she didn't want to go back and hear her mother talk about losing weight. Oh my God, that is such a reality right there. She wanted to stay right here. And maybe see a sloth. Tina had seen a sloth 2 days earlier in the school, earlier at zoo in San Jose. It looked like a Muppets character, and it seemed harmless. Anyways, it couldn't move fast. She could easily outrun her. Now her mother was calling to her, and Tina decided to move out of the sun, back from the water to the shade of the palm trees. In this in this part of the beach, the palm trees over her hug. God, my neck. Okay, hung a gnarled triangle of mangrove roots, which blocked any attempt to penetrate island. Tina sat in the sand and kicked and dried mangrove leaves. She noticed many birds' tracks in the sand. Costa Rica was famous for its birds. The guidebook said that there were three times as many birds in Costa Rica in all American and Canada. In the sand, somehow the three-toed bird tracks were small and so faint that they could hardly be seen. Other tracks were large and cut deeper in the sand. Tina was looking idly, and the tracks when she heard a chirping, followed by a rustling in the mangrove thicket. Did the sloths make a chirping sound? Tina did not think so, but wasn't sure. The chirping was probably some ocean bird. She waited quietly, not moving, hearing the rustling again, and finally she saw the source of the sound. A few yards away, a lizard emerged from the mangrove roots and peered at her. Tina held her breath. A new animal for her list. The lizard stopped on its hind legs, bouncing on the thick tail on starters, and stared at her, standing like that. It was almost a foot tall, dark green with brown stripes. Along its back, it was tiny front legs, and it in little lizard fingers, and wriggled and wiggled in the air. The lizard cocked its head as it looked at her. Tina thought it was cute, sort of a big salamander. She rises her hand and wiggles the fingers back. The lizard wasn't frightened. It came towards her, walking upright in its hind legs, and hardly bigger than a chicken. Okay. It was, and like a chicken, it bobbed its head, and as it walked, Tina thought it would make a wonderful pet. She noticed that a lizard left 3 toes tracks that looked exactly like the bird tracks. The lizard came closer to Tina. She kept her body still, not wanting to frightening the little animal. She was amazed that it would come so close, but she remembered that it was a national park. All the animals in the park would be known that they were protected. This lizard was probably tame. Maybe it even expected her to give her some food. Unfortunately, she did not have any. Slowly, Tina extended her hand palm down to show she didn't have any food. The lizard paused, cocked its head, and chirped. "Sorry," Tina said. "I just don't have anything." And then, without warning, the lizard jumped into her outstretched hand. Tina could feel the little toes pinching the skin of her palm, and she felt surprising weight on the animal's body, pressing her arm down. And then the lizard scrambled up her arm toward her face. "I just wish I could see her," Ellen Bowman said, squatting in the sunlight. "That's all. Just see her." "I'm sure she's fine," Mike said, picking through the lunchbox packed by the hotel. There was unappetizing grilled chicken and some kind of meat-filled pasty. Not that Ellen would eat any of it. "You think she'd leave the beach?" Ellen said. "No, hon, I don't. I feel so isolated here," Ellen said. I thought that's what you wanted," Mike Bowen said. "I did." "Well, then what's the problem?" "I just wish I could see her. See her is all," Ellen said. Then from down from the beach, carried by the wind, they heard the daughter's voice. She was screaming. And that's all I'm going to leave it at, folks. I mean, we're at 49 minutes. 49 minutes. Jesus. That was good. This is good. I mean, if you understand it, great. You might need to grab a full-on speaker to understand me. Because it's that quiet. It sounds quiet. But if you enjoyed, hey, I just asked for a subscribe. I'm not asking for likes or anything. Just subscribe. I might actually continue reading this later on, though. Another stream. I mean, I just wrote I read the introduction. I read the prologue, the first part, almost first chapter, almost paradise. So 3 chapters. I'm not going to be reading every 3 chapters all the time. Maybe I'll read one day 4, or maybe 2, maybe 3. Who knows, really? But I'll leave it off that. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, let me see if I know how to turn this off. All right. I see you guys in another